I'm going to drink away my son's college fund, and my wife is the one who told me to do it. So my kid Jake is 17. We've been putting money away since he was born. Every birthday, every Christmas, every time we got a bonus at work, straight into that account. $47,000. Not a fortune, but enough to cover most of a state school. Last Tuesday, Jake comes home at like 2 a.m. I hear the front door slam. I get up, go downstairs, and he's there with his buddy Owen. They're both drunk off their asses, laughing about something. "Where were you?" I ask. "Out," Jake says. He's got this smirk on his face. "You drove home like this?" Owen jumps in. "Nah, man, I drove. I'm good." This kid can barely stand up straight. I take Jake's keys anyway and tell Owen to sleep it off on the couch. Next morning, I ground Jake for a month. No car, no going out, nothing. He doesn't care, just shrugs and goes to his room. Then Friday happens. I get a call from Jake's school. The vice principal wants to see me and my wife immediately. We drive over there, and when we walk into his office, there's this other couple sitting there. The dad's face is red, and the mom's crying. Turns out Jake and Owen beat the shit out of their son. Not just a fight. Like they cornered this kid after school and just kept hitting him. Security camera caught the whole thing. The kid's got a broken nose, cracked ribs, concussion. He's been in the hospital since Thursday. Jake never mentioned it, not once. The vice principal shows us the video. It's bad, really bad. The other kid's on the ground covering his head, and Jake's just kicking him. Owen's laughing the entire time. The dad stands up and starts yelling at me, asking what kind of parents we are. The mom's talking about lawyers and pressing charges. My wife just sits there frozen. We get home and Jake's playing video games in his room. I tell him to come downstairs. "What?" he says, not even pausing his game. "You hospitalized a kid." He finally pauses. "He was talking shit. So you put him in the hospital? He'll be fine." That's it. That's all he says. No sorry, no excuse, nothing. He actually tries to go back upstairs. My wife grabs his arm. "You're not going anywhere. What the hell is wrong with you?" Jake pulls away. "Get off me. It's not that big a deal." "Not that big a deal? You broke that boy's ribs." He rolls his eyes. "Whatever. Are we done?" I tell him he's grounded until graduation. He laughs. Actually laughs. Says we can't do anything to him because he's almost 18 anyway. That night, my wife and I are up until 4 a.m. The other family's pressing charges. Jake might face assault charges. He doesn't care. Doesn't even pretend to care. He's going to ruin his life, my wife says. Maybe he'll learn from this. She looks at me. "You really believe that?" I don't answer because I don't. "That college fund," she says. $47,000 we scraped together so he could have opportunities we didn't have. Yeah, he doesn't deserve it. "What are you saying?" She's quiet for a minute. Then she goes, "I'm saying take that money and do whatever you want with it. Go on that fishing trip to Alaska you've been talking about for 10 years. Buy that truck you want. Hell, drink it away at the bar for all I care. Just don't give it to him." Monday morning, Jake gets arrested at school. We have to go pick him up from the police station. He's facing assault charges as an adult because of how bad he hurt that kid. Lawyer says it's going to cost us at least 15 grand for a decent defense. Jake sits in the back seat on the way home, looking out the window. Not scared, not sorry, just annoyed. My wife turns around. "You know that college fund we've been saving?" "Yeah, we're not giving it to you." Jake finally looks at us. "What? You heard me? That money's gone. You can't do that. That's my money. It's our money, and we're done." He starts yelling. Saying we can't do that, he'll sue us, he'll move out. My wife just turns back around. I keep driving. When we get home, I log into the account. $47,312. Jake's behind me now, screaming about how we're ruining his life. I move my hand to the mouse when Jake suddenly stops yelling and starts laughing. Like really laughing. "You want to know the truth? That kid at the hospital? He saw what I did to my ex-girlfriend. That's why we beat him up. To shut him up." My wife's face goes white. "Jake, what did you do to Sarah?" Jake's still got that smirk on his face. That horrible, twisted smirk I've never seen before. Or maybe I just never let myself see it. "What do you think I did?" he says. "She kept threatening to tell people I pushed her around. Trevor saw me grab her one day after school, saw me shove her into my car, so we had to make sure he understood what happens when people talk." My wife's hand goes to her mouth. I feel like I've been punched in the chest. I can't breathe. "You hit Sarah?" I manage to say. Jake shrugs. One shoulder, casual, like we're talking about the weather. "She's dramatic. It wasn't that bad. She'd get mouthy and sometimes I had to remind her who was in charge. It's not like I broke anything, until she started talking about going to the cops. Then I had to end things." "End things?" My wife's voice is barely a whisper. "What does that mean?" "Relax, Mom. I just broke up with her. Told her if she said anything to anyone, things would get a lot worse for her. She got the message. I'm looking at my son. This kid I taught to ride a bike. The same kid who used to crawl into our bed during thunderstorms. The kid who cried for 3 days when his goldfish died in 4th grade. I don't recognize him. Get out, I say. Jake blinks. What? Get out of my house. Dad, come on, don't be dramatic. Now. I'm on my feet. I don't remember standing up. My wife is crying. Jake actually takes a step back, and for just a second I see something flicker in his eyes. Fear, maybe. Recognition that he's finally pushed too far. You can't kick me out. I'm your son. My son wouldn't do what you just described. My son wouldn't hurt a girl. My son wouldn't put another kid in the hospital to cover up his crimes. I don't know who you are, but you're not staying in this house. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Jake looks at his mom, looking for backup. Looking for the woman who's always made excuses for him, always smoothed things over, always been on his side no matter what. But she won't look at him. She's staring at the floor, tears streaming down her face, and she won't meet his eyes. Mom? Nothing. Mom? She finally looks up. You heard your father. Get out. Jake's face changes. That smug mask cracks for just a moment, and underneath I see something raw. Anger. Pure, ugly anger. Fine, he spits. I don't need either of you. I'll go stay with Owen. At least his parents don't treat him like a criminal. You are a criminal, I say. And once we talk to Sarah and Trevor's family, everyone's going to know exactly what kind of person you are. That stops him. For the first time tonight, he actually looks scared. You wouldn't do that. Watch me. He grabs his jacket and his keys from the counter, stops at the door. You're going to regret this, both of you. You're throwing away your only son over some stupid girl who couldn't take a joke. Then he's gone. The door slams so hard the pictures on the wall shake. My wife and I stand there in silence. I don't know how long. Could have been a minute. Could have been an hour. Finally, she speaks. We need to call Sarah's parents. I nod. Yeah, we do. I find the number in our old phone contacts. The Becketts. Nice family. I remember when Jake first started dating Sarah. She was this sweet, quiet girl with braces and a nervous laugh. We had them over for dinner once. Sarah helped my wife with the dishes even though we told her she didn't have to. Said her mom taught her to always help clean up after a meal. It's almost 11 o'clock at night, but I call anyway. It rings 4 times before a man picks up. Hello? Mr. Beckett? This is Gerald Ramsey, Jake's father. Long pause. It's late, Mr. Ramsey. I know. I'm sorry, but I need to talk to you about something important. About Jake and Sarah. Another pause. Longer this time. What about them? I need to know if he ever hurt her. The silence on the other end tells me everything I need to know. Mr. Beckett? Are you still there? How did you find out? His voice is flat, tired. Jake told us. Tonight. He was bragging about it. I hear him exhale. Bragging. Yes, sir. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. We had no idea. Sarah told us 2 months ago. After they broke up, she came home with bruises on her arms. At first, she said she fell during gym class. Then she said she got in a fight with another girl. Finally, she broke down and told us the truth. My wife is listening on speaker now. She's got her hand over her mouth. Why didn't you call the police? She asks. We wanted to. Sarah begged us not to. She was terrified of what Jake would do. He told her if she ever said anything, he'd make sure no one believed her, that he'd tell everyone she was crazy, that he'd ruin her life. That sounds like him, I say. The words taste bitter in my mouth. We've been trying to convince her to make a report. Then we heard about Trevor Mullins, the boy in the hospital. Sarah told us Trevor saw Jake grab her one day, saw him shove her. She thinks that's why Jake attacked him. Jake confirmed it. Tonight. That's exactly why he did it. My God. Mr. Beckett, I want you to know that my wife and I are fully prepared to support Sarah in whatever she decides to do. If she wants to press charges, we'll testify. We'll tell the police everything Jake told us. You do that? Against your own son? I look at my wife. She nods. That kid stopped being our son tonight. What I heard come out of his mouth, that's not someone we raised. I don't know where we went wrong, but we're not going to protect a monster. Mr. Beckett's voice cracks slightly. Thank you. I'll talk to Sarah in the morning. I think she'll want to meet with you. With both of you. Whenever she's ready. Whatever she needs. We hang up. The house has never felt so quiet. My wife goes upstairs around midnight. I tell her I'll be up soon. But instead, I go into Jake's room. It looks like any teenage boy's room. Posters on the wall, clothes on the floor, gaming chair in the corner. There's a trophy on his dresser from 8th grade baseball. A photo of him with his grandparents from last Christmas. A stack of college brochures we brought home from the guidance office. I start going through his things. I don't know what I'm looking for exactly. Evidence, maybe. Something that explains how this happened. How did we miss this? Under his mattress, I find a small notebook. At first, I think it's a journal. It's not. It's a list. Girls' names. Some of them I recognize from Jake's school, some I don't. Next to each name are notes. Too clingy, dropped her. Hot but stupid, easy to manipulate. Said no too much, fixed that. Threatened to tell, handled. There are about 15 names. Sarah's is near the bottom. Perfect target, quiet, no friends. Parents are pushovers. She'll do whatever I want. I have to put the notebook down. My hands are shaking too badly to hold it. My wife finds me an hour later. I'm sitting on Jake's bed, staring at the wall. She sees the notebook on the pillow. What's that? I don't answer. Can't answer. She picks it up, starts reading. After the first page, she makes a sound like a wounded animal and drops it like it burned her. Gerald, what is this? I don't know. There are so many names. What does handled mean? What did he do to these girls? I don't know. She sits down next to me. We're both just sitting there in our son's room, surrounded by his things, trying to understand how any of this is possible. We have to show this to the police, she says finally. I know. They're going to think we knew. They're going to think we raised him to be like this. Maybe we did. The words come out before I can stop them. Maybe we spoiled him, made too many excuses, let too many things slide because he was our only kid and we wanted him to be happy. That doesn't make someone into this. She gestures at the notebook. This is something else. This is broken. Something inside him is broken. We don't sleep that night. We can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see that list. All those names. All those girls. The next morning, I call the police. Tell them I have evidence related to the Trevor Mullins assault case. An officer comes by at 10. Her name is Detective Ramirez. She's got short gray hair and tired eyes like she's seen too much. When I hand her the notebook, she reads it with no expression, like she's reading a grocery list. Where did you find this? Under my son's mattress. And you're giving this to us voluntarily? Yes. She looks at me for a long moment. You understand what this means. If we can corroborate any of this, your son could be looking at multiple felony charges. I understand. Most parents in your situation would protect their child, hide evidence, hire lawyers to make things go away. My son beat a boy nearly to death because that boy saw him hurting his girlfriend. He kept a list of girls he victimized like they were trophies. I'm not protecting that. I can't. Detective Ramirez nods slowly. We're going to need formal statements from both of you, and we'll need to contact some of these girls. See if they're willing to come forward. Whatever you need, we'll cooperate fully. She stands up. I've been doing this job for 22 years, Mr. Ramsey. I've seen a lot of parents turn a blind eye to what their children have done. What you're doing right now, it takes courage. It won't be easy, but it's the right thing. The next few days blur together. Jake's been staying with Owen's family. Owen's parents call us twice, demanding to know why we kicked out our own son. When I tell them what Jake confessed to, they don't believe me. Say I'm making it up to cover for my own failures as a parent. Say Jake's a good kid who just made some mistakes. I hang up on them. Sarah Beckett agrees to meet with us. We go to their house on a Wednesday evening. Sarah's parents meet us at the door. They're polite but guarded. I don't blame them. Sarah's in the living room. She's smaller than I remember, thinner. She won't make eye contact with us when we sit down. Sarah, my wife says gently, we're so sorry. We didn't know what Jake was doing to you. Sarah nods but doesn't speak. We want you to know that whatever you decide to do, we support you. If you want to press charges, we'll back you up completely. Why? Sarah's voice is barely audible. He's your son. Because what he did to you was wrong. Because we raised him and somewhere along the way we failed. We didn't see what he was becoming. That's on us. But protecting him now? Letting him get away with what he did to you? That's not something we can do. Sarah finally looks up. Her eyes are red-rimmed. He told me no one would believe me. That everyone would take his side because he's popular and I'm nobody. He was wrong, I say. We believe you. And the police believe you. And anyone who doesn't believe you isn't worth listening to. Sarah's mom puts her arm around her daughter. The detective called this morning. They've already contacted 3 other girls from that list. 2 of them are willing to make statements. My stomach drops. 3 other girls. That means at least 3 other times Jake did something terrible and got away with it. How many? I ask. How many girls on that list have stories? Sarah's dad shakes his head. They're still going through it, but the detective said she expects to find more. We stay for almost 2 hours. Sarah eventually opens up, tells us about her relationship with Jake. It started normal, sweet even. He was charming and attentive. Then slowly things changed. He started getting jealous, controlling, told her what to wear, who she could talk to, who she couldn't see. The first time he hit her was 3 months in. She was late to meet him because of traffic. He slapped her across the face in his car, then immediately apologized, said it would never happen again. It happened again, and again, and again. I kept thinking it was my fault, Sarah says. Like if I just tried harder, if I was better, he'd stop. I know that sounds stupid. It's not stupid, my wife says. That's what abusers make you believe. It's part of how they control you. Sarah starts crying. Her mom holds her. My wife and I sit there feeling helpless, feeling complicit, feeling like we should have known. When we leave, Mrs. Beckett walks us to the door. "Thank you for coming," she says. "I know this couldn't have been easy for you." It needed to happen. Sarah's been having nightmares since she told us. She wakes up screaming his name, screaming for him to stop. Mrs. Beckett's voice breaks. She's 16 years old. She should be worrying about prom and college applications, not this. If there's anything we can do, you've already done it. Most parents would never turn on their own child. The fact that you're willing to testify, to hand over evidence, Sarah needed to see that. She needed to know that not everyone would protect him. We drive home in silence. My wife stares out the window the whole way. That weekend, Jake shows up at the house. Owen drops him off. I see the car pull up from the living room window. "Stay inside," I tell my wife. "I'll handle this." I meet Jake on the porch. He looks rough, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. "Dad, we need to talk." I don't think we do. The police came to Owen's house. They took my phone. They're talking to people from school. They're talking to girls I barely know. "I know. You gave them my notebook." "Yes." Jake's face contorts. "Why would you do that? I'm your son. You're supposed to protect me." "I'm supposed to protect you?" "Jake, you made a list of girls you hurt. You kept it like some kind of trophy collection. You beat a kid half to death because he witnessed you assaulting your girlfriend, and you think I'm supposed to protect you from the consequences of that? It's not as bad as they're making it sound. Those girls are exaggerating. Sarah was always dramatic, and Trevor was running his mouth. He deserved what he got." I stare at him. This person, standing in front of me, this stranger. "Do you hear yourself? Do you have any idea what you sound like?" "I sound like someone whose parents stabbed him in the back." "No. You sound like someone who has no idea how to take responsibility for anything. Someone who thinks the whole world owes him something. Someone who hurts people and blames them for getting hurt." Jake's eyes narrow. "You know what? Forget it. I don't know why I came here. You and Mom have already made up your minds. You'd rather believe some random girls than your own kid. It's not about believing them over you, Jake. You admitted it. To my face. You stood in our kitchen and bragged about shoving Sarah around, about shutting Trevor up. You gave me all the evidence I needed with your own words. I was trying to explain. You were trying to show off. That's the sick part. You thought we'd be impressed, or at least that we'd understand. Like hurting people was just something normal that people do." Jake doesn't respond. For a moment, he almost looks young again. Lost. Then the mask slips back on. "Owen's parents believe me. They're hiring me a lawyer, a good one. And when this is over, when I prove everyone's lying, I'm going to make you and Mom regret this. You think you can just throw away your kid? You think there won't be consequences? Is that a threat? It's a promise." He turns and walks back to Owen's car. Doesn't look back. That night, I tell my wife about the conversation. She's not surprised. "He's never going to take responsibility," she says. "That's who he is now. Maybe that's who he's always been. How did we miss it? I don't know. Maybe because we didn't want to see it. Maybe because he was good at hiding it. Maybe because we were so focused on him being successful that we didn't notice he was becoming something else." The charges come down 2 weeks later. Jake's arrested again. This time, it's not just the assault on Trevor. 4 girls came forward. 4. Their stories are similar. Jake targeted girls who were isolated, who didn't have many friends, who seemed vulnerable. He was charming at first, then controlling, then violent. 2 of the girls have photos, bruises on their arms, their faces. One has a recording of Jake threatening her. Another has screenshots of texts where he described exactly what he'd do to her if she told anyone. The charges include assault, battery, stalking, criminal threats, and coercion. The prosecutors are treating some of the cases as felonies because of the level of violence involved. Owen's parents hired Jake a lawyer anyway. The guy's name is Harding. He calls us the day after the arraignment. "Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, I'm representing your son in these matters." We're aware. "I understand you've been cooperating with the prosecution, providing evidence, making statements." "That's correct. I'm calling to urge you to reconsider. What you're doing is going to send your own child to prison, possibly for years. Our son committed crimes. Multiple crimes against multiple victims. We're not going to help him escape the consequences. He's 17. He'll be 18 next month. And from what I understand, several of these charges will be tried in adult court." Harding pauses. "You understand that your testimony could be the deciding factor. That if his own parents are against him, it sends a powerful message to a jury. That's exactly why we're doing it. Jake needs to understand that there are consequences. That no one is going to rescue him from this. Not us, not Owen's parents, not some expensive lawyer. Mr. Ramsey, I've represented a lot of young men in trouble. Most of them made mistakes. Most of them deserved a second chance. Are you sure you don't want to give your son one? I gave him second chances. Hundreds of them. When he came home drunk, when he failed classes because he couldn't be bothered to show up, when he got into fights, when he treated every girl he dated like garbage. Second chances are how we got here. Jake's had enough second chances. What he needs now is accountability. Harding sighs. I'll note your position for the record. If you change your mind, here's my number. I don't change my mind. The trial takes place 8 months later. By then, we've moved out of our old house. Too many memories. Too many reporters showing up on our lawn. We buy a small place across town. Quiet neighborhood. No one knows us there. The prosecutor calls us as witnesses on the second day. We testify about the night Jake confessed, about finding the notebook, about everything we'd observed over the years that we now recognized as warning signs. Jake's defense attorney tries to paint us as bitter, vindictive parents who are out to get their own son. Suggests we're exaggerating to deflect blame from our own parenting failures. I don't rise to the bait. I answer every question calmly and truthfully. Sarah testifies on day 4. I'm not in the courtroom for it. Witnesses aren't allowed to hear other testimony until after they've gone. But my wife tells me about it later. She was so brave, she says. So strong. She looked right at Jake while she described what he did to her. He tried to stare her down, but she didn't flinch. By the end of her testimony, some of the jurors were crying. The other girls testify too. Their stories are hard to hear. I read about them in the news coverage, each one describing how Jake identified them, charmed them, isolated them, and then systematically broke them down. One girl, Destiny Vance, describes how Jake told her that if she ever left him, he'd kill her entire family and make her watch. She was 14 at the time. Another girl, Mika O'Brien, talks about how Jake would time her when she used the bathroom. If she took longer than 3 minutes, he'd accuse her of texting other guys. She developed such severe anxiety that she had to be hospitalized twice. A third girl, Kennedy Warren, shows photos of the bruises Jake left on her body. The prosecutor projects them on a screen for the jury. Yellow and purple marks covering her arms, her back, her thighs. Jake had grabbed her so hard that his fingerprints were visible. The fourth girl, Noelle Schmidt, reads text messages Jake sent her after she tried to break up with him. Graphic threats, detailed descriptions of violence, promises that he'd find her no matter where she went. Through all of this, Jake sits at the defense table looking bored, like this is all an inconvenience, like these girls mean nothing. The jury deliberates for 3 hours, guilty on all counts. Jake's face doesn't change when the verdict is read. He just stares straight ahead, expressionless. Sentencing happens 2 months later. The judge allows victim impact statements. All 4 girls speak. Their parents speak. Trevor Mullins speaks too. His jaw is still wired shut from the surgery to repair it. Then, to everyone's surprise, my wife asks to speak. I'm Jake's mother, she says, standing at the podium. I raised him, I fed him, dressed him, read him bedtime stories. I was there for every school play, every baseball game, every skinned knee. I loved him unconditionally because that's what mothers do. She pauses, takes a breath. But love doesn't mean protection from consequences. Love doesn't mean looking the other way when your child hurts people. Love means teaching right from wrong. And somewhere along the way, I failed at that. I don't know how. I don't know when. But the evidence is sitting right there. She points at Jake. That person is not the child I raised. That person is a monster. And I am asking your honor to hold him fully accountable for what he's done. Not because I hate my son, but because I love the people he hurt. Because they deserve justice. Because letting him go would tell them that their suffering doesn't matter. It does matter. They matter. And Jake needs to understand that his actions have destroyed lives, including his own. She sits down. Jake still won't look at her. The judge sentences Jake to 14 years in state prison. He'll be eligible for parole after 10. Owen pleaded guilty to the assault on Trevor in a separate trial. He got 3 years. After the sentencing, a reporter asks me how I feel. Relieved, I say, and sad and angry and guilty, all at once. Guilty for what? For not seeing it sooner, for not doing more, for raising someone capable of this. What would you say to other parents who might be in a similar situation? I think about it for a long moment. Pay attention, not just to grades or sports or college applications. Pay attention to how your kid treats people, how they talk about others, how they react when they don't get what they want. The warning signs were there with Jake. I just didn't want to see them. I wanted to believe my kid was good because that was easier than facing the truth. Don't make that mistake. Face it early. Get help if you need to. But don't wait until there are victims. Don't wait until it's too late. We go home after that. Back to our small house in the quiet neighborhood. The college fund is still sitting there. $47,000. We never did touch it. My wife and I talk about what to do with it. We have options. We could donate it to a domestic violence shelter. We could set up a scholarship for survivors of abuse. We could give it to the families Jake hurt, though their lawyers tell us they're not interested in money from Jake's parents. In the end, we do something simple. We split it 5 ways. Sarah, Destiny, Mika, Kennedy, and Noel. Each one gets a check for $9,462.40. No strings attached. No expectations. Just a small gesture from 2 parents who couldn't undo what their son had done, but wanted to do something. Sarah's mother calls to thank us. "You didn't have to do this." "We know. But that money was supposed to go toward Jake's future. Seemed fitting that it goes to the futures he tried to destroy instead." A year passes, then 2, then 3. Jake sends us letters from prison sometimes. At first they're angry, blaming us for everything, saying we ruined his life, promising revenge. We don't respond. After about 18 months, the tone changes. He starts talking about therapy, about group sessions where he's forced to confront what he did, about finally understanding, really understanding, the harm he caused. We still don't respond. Then, around year 3, we get a letter that's different from the others. It's short, just a few sentences. "Mom and Dad, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I know you can't. I'm not even asking you to talk to me. I just wanted to say that I understand now why you did what you did. It took me 3 years, but I get it. What I did was unforgivable. Those girls didn't deserve it. Trevor didn't deserve it. You didn't deserve a son like me. I don't know if I'll ever be okay, but I'm trying to be better. That's all I can do now. Try. I'm sorry. Jake." My wife reads it 3 times. Then she puts it in a box with the others. "Do you believe him?" I ask. "I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Should we respond?" She thinks about it. Really thinks. "Not yet," she finally says. "He's got 7 more years to figure out who he really is. If he's still saying the same things when he gets out, maybe then we'll talk." I nod. That seems fair. The next few years are about rebuilding. Rebuilding our lives, our marriage, our sense of who we are as people. We go to therapy, both of us. Sometimes together, sometimes separately. We talk about the guilt, the shame, the constant question of what we could have done differently. The therapist tells us that we can't take responsibility for Jake's choices, that at some point, people become who they are regardless of how they were raised, that there are countless kids who grew up with less love, less support, less opportunity than Jake, and they don't become abusers. I want to believe that. Most days, I do. We also find ways to help. My wife starts volunteering at a teen crisis hotline. She talks to young girls in abusive relationships, helps them find resources, helps them get out, says it gives her purpose. I start teaching self-defense classes at the community center. Free classes for teenagers, girls mostly, but anyone who wants to learn. It's not much, but it's something. Sarah reaches out to us once, about 4 years after the trial. She's in college now, studying psychology, wants to become a therapist who works with trauma survivors. "I wanted to thank you again," she says. "Not just for the money, for everything, for believing me when Jake said no one would." "You don't need to thank us." "Yes, I do. My parents were scared to fight him. His parents were going to protect him. Everyone in that school was more worried about their star athlete than about some quiet girl nobody noticed. You were the ones who changed that. You put your own son in prison because it was the right thing to do. I think about that a lot." "How are you?" my wife asks. "Really?" Sarah pauses. "Better. Not great. I still have nightmares sometimes. I still flinch when people move too fast. But I'm getting there. I'm in therapy. I've got good people in my life. I'm going to be okay." That's all we wanted to hear. Jake gets out after 10 years. He's 28 years old. He doesn't contact us right away. We hear through the grapevine that he's staying at a halfway house, working at a warehouse, keeping his head down. Then about 6 months after his release, we get a phone call. "Dad?" I haven't heard his voice in a decade. It sounds different now, older, quieter. "Jake, can we meet? Just to talk. I don't expect anything. There are things I need to say. In person." I look at my wife. She nods. "Fine. There's a coffee shop on Elm Street. Tomorrow at noon. We get there early. Find a table in the back. Wait." Jake walks in right at noon. He's different now. Thinner. His hair's shorter. There are lines around his eyes that weren't there before. He sees us. Hesitates. Then walks over and sits down. For a long moment, no one speaks. "Thank you for meeting me," he finally says. "You said you had things to say." He nods. Takes a breath. "I spent 10 years thinking about what I did. At first I blamed everyone else. You, the girls, the system. I was angry all the time. I got in fights. Spent months in solitary. Didn't care about anything." He stops. Collects himself. "Then I got assigned to a new therapist, Dr. Kessler. Old guy. Didn't take any of my bullshit. Made me actually look at what I'd done. Not the charges, not the legal stuff, the actual reality of it. What those girls experienced because of me. What Trevor went through. What you and Mom went through. His voice breaks slightly. I can't undo any of it. I know that. I can never make it right. But I needed you to hear from my mouth that I understand now. What I did was evil. There's no other word for it. I was evil. And the fact that you had the strength to stop me, to hold me accountable when everyone else would have looked the other way, that probably saved lives. Girls I would have hurt in the future. People I would have destroyed. You stopped that. And I'm grateful. Even though it cost me 10 years of my life, I'm grateful. He stops talking, wipes his eyes. My wife speaks first. What do you want from us, Jake? Nothing. I don't deserve anything from you. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to be different. I'm in therapy. I'm staying away from relationships until my therapist says I'm ready. I'm working a job that keeps me tired enough that I don't have time to be angry. I'm taking it one day at a time. And if you slip? If you hurt someone again? Jake meets her eyes. Then I deserve whatever happens. I'm not going to make excuses anymore. I'm not going to blame anyone else. If I fail, it's on me, no one else. I study my son's face, try to see if any of this is real, if he's actually changed, or if this is just another manipulation, another angle. I can't tell for sure. Maybe no one can. I'm not ready to have you back in my life, I say finally. Neither of us is. Maybe we never will be. What you did, it broke something in us, something that might never heal. Jake nods. I know, but I'm glad you're trying. I'm glad you're getting help, and I really hope, that you become someone who never hurts anyone again. Not for my sake, for yours, and for everyone you'll ever meet. Jake stands up. That's more than I deserve to hear. Thank you. He walks out of the coffee shop, doesn't look back. My wife takes my hand. What do you think? She asks. I watch through the window as Jake gets in an old car and drives away. I think people can change. I also think people can pretend to change. I don't know which one he is. Will we ever know? Maybe. In time. Or maybe we'll never know. Maybe that's something we have to live with. We sit there for a while longer, finish our coffee, watch people come and go. Then we go home. To our small house in the quiet neighborhood. To the life we've built from the wreckage. The college fund is long gone now. Split between 5 girls who deserved better. Was it enough? No. Nothing would have been enough, but it was something. And sometimes, something is all you have to give. Update 1. 6 months after the coffee shop. If you thought my story was over after meeting Jake at that coffee shop, you were wrong. So was I. 6 months. That's how long the silence lasted. Jake didn't call, didn't write, didn't show up at our door. Part of me was relieved. Part of me kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. During those 6 months, my wife and I tried to return to something like normal life. We fixed up the backyard, planted a garden, went to a marriage counselor because even though we weren't fighting, there was this distance between us, this unspoken weight. The counselor said it was common for parents of troubled children to experience this, a shared trauma that bonds you and separates you at the same time. I still thought about Jake every day, wondered what he was doing, whether he was keeping his job, whether he was staying out of trouble, whether he'd slipped back into old patterns with no one watching. My wife handled it differently. She threw herself into work, started putting in extra hours, volunteering more at the crisis hotline, anything to stay busy, anything to not think about her son. We got updates occasionally, second-hand information from people who knew people. Jake was working steadily, attending his meetings, staying clean, but we didn't trust it. How could we? We'd trusted him before. Then the other shoe dropped. On a Tuesday, I was at the hardware store picking up some supplies for a fence I was building in the backyard. Simple project, something to keep busy. My phone rang. Number I didn't recognize. Mr. Ramsey? This is Detective Campos with the Riverside Police Department. My stomach dropped. Is this about Jake? In a way, yes, sir. We need you to come down to the station. There's been an incident. That drive was the longest 15 minutes of my life. Every terrible scenario played through my head. Jake had hurt someone again. Jake had killed someone. All those years of therapy meant nothing. The monster was back. When I got to the station, Detective Campos met me in the lobby. Young guy, serious face. Mr. Ramsey, I want to start by saying your son isn't in trouble. I blinked. What? He's not the perpetrator, he's the witness. Well, more than a witness, technically. He intervened. Campos led me to a small conference room. Jake was inside, sitting at a table with a bandage on his forehead and his right hand wrapped in gauze. Dad, he looked surprised to see me. They called you. They said there was an incident. Campos closed the door. Mr. Ramsey, earlier today there was a domestic disturbance at an apartment complex near where your son lives. A man was assaulting a woman in the parking lot. Multiple witnesses called 911, but your son was the only one who physically intervened. I looked at Jake. You got in a fight? I heard her screaming from my apartment window. This guy had her on the ground, kicking her. Everyone was just standing there watching, recording it on their phones. Jake's voice was flat, controlled. I went down there, told him to stop. He came at me with a knife. I managed to disarm him, but he got me a couple times before the cops showed up. You were stabbed? Just slashed. Nothing deep. They stitched me up at the hospital already. Detective Campos nodded. The woman, Elena Suarez, is in stable condition. Her boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend, is in custody. He's got priors for assault, so he's looking at serious time. Ms. Suarez wanted me to pass along her gratitude. She says your son saved her life. I sat down heavily in the chair across from Jake. I didn't know what to say. The monitors beeped steadily. Outside the door, nurses moved through the hallway. Normal hospital sounds, but nothing about this moment felt normal. Dad, I know what you're thinking. I don't think you do. You're thinking this is some kind of performance, that I did this to look good, to prove something. That's not what I was thinking. Then what? I met his eyes, really looked at him. The bandage on his head, the gauze on his hand, the way he was holding himself like he was still in pain. There were dark circles under his eyes. He looked exhausted, not just from the fight, from something deeper. I was thinking that 10 years ago you were the guy kicking someone on the ground, and today you're the guy who stopped it. Jake didn't respond. His jaw tightened. I was thinking that maybe people really can change, and maybe you're proof of that. Jake looked away. His jaw was tight. I didn't do it to prove anything. I did it because I couldn't watch. Couldn't stand there like everyone else and just watch. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sarah, saw what I did to her, saw what that guy was doing to Elena, and I knew that if I didn't stop him, I'd never be able to live with myself. That's not nothing, Jake. It's not enough either. Saving one woman doesn't erase what I did to 5. No, it doesn't. But it's a start. Detective Campos gave us a few minutes alone. Jake told me more about what happened, how the guy had a box cutter, how Jake grabbed his wrist and twisted it until he dropped the blade, how they struggled on the concrete while Elena crawled away. The guy was screaming at her the whole time, Jake said, calling her names, telling her she deserved it. And I saw myself. I saw exactly who I used to be. It was like looking in a mirror. What do you mean? The rage, the entitlement, the way he looked at her like she was property, like she existed just to serve him. That's how I used to think. About Sarah, about all of them. I didn't see them as people. They were just things, objects. And standing there watching this guy do the same thing, I couldn't let it happen. I had to stop it. Were you scared? I asked, terrified. I thought he was going to kill me, but I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Why not? Jake thought about it. Because for the first time in my life, I was on the right side. I was doing something good, and that felt more important than being safe. The box cutter had caught him across the forehead first, then his right palm when he tried to block a second slash. Elena later told police she thought Jake was dead when he went down, but he got back up, tackled the guy from behind, held him until the cops arrived. The ambulance took Elena first, Jake said. I sat on the curb and watched them load her in. She looked back at me right before the doors closed, just for a second. And she said, "Thank you." That's it. Just thank you. That must have meant something. It meant everything and nothing, because I know that no matter how many people I help, it doesn't erase the ones I hurt. That's not how the math works. We left the police station together. I drove him back to his apartment. It was small, spare, a bed, a desk, a small TV, nothing on the walls. "You should get some rest," I said. "Dad, wait." Jake stopped at the door. "I'm not asking to come home. I'm not asking for forgiveness. It was good to see you, under any circumstances." I nodded. "It was good to see you too." I drove home and told my wife everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. "Do you believe him?" she finally asked. "That he did it because he couldn't watch?" "I think so, yeah. Not to impress us? Not to manipulate us? He didn't even know they called me. He seemed surprised when I walked in." She processed this. "So what now?" "I don't know. I guess we wait. See if this was a one-time thing or if he really has changed. And if he has, then maybe we can have some kind of relationship. Not like before. That's gone, but something. Maybe." The next few weeks were quiet. I checked in on Jake once a week. Just short visits. Coffee at the shop near his apartment. Nothing heavy. He was attending meetings now. Some kind of group for men who'd committed abuse. He didn't talk about it much, but I could tell it was helping. He seemed more grounded, more present. Elena Suarez sent him a thank you card. He showed it to me. Simple thing. White card with flowers on the front. "Jake, thank you for being brave when everyone else just watched. I'm alive because of you. Elena." Jake kept it on his refrigerator. Only thing in his whole apartment that wasn't completely bare. Does it help? I asked. Having that? Yeah. Reminds me that I can be different. That I wasn't just born broken. You weren't born anything, Jake. Nobody is. We become who we choose to be. He nodded slowly. I'm trying to choose better. Every day. 3 months later, I got another call. This one was from Sarah Beckett's father. Mr. Ramsey? I hope I'm not calling at a bad time. Not at all. Is everything okay? More than okay, actually. Sarah's graduating next month. Top of her class. She's been accepted to a PhD program in clinical psychology. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Thank you. The reason I'm calling is Sarah wants to invite you and your wife to the graduation, if you're willing to come. I was speechless for a moment. She wants us there? She does. She says you two are part of her story, the part where things got better. She wanted you to see where she ended up. My wife and I drove 4 hours to the graduation, sat in the back of the auditorium with the other families. When Sarah walked across the stage to receive her diploma, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Her mother was crying. Her father stood up and clapped so loud people turned to look. Sarah just smiled, found her parents in the crowd, found us too, and nodded. That tiny acknowledgement meant more than any words could have. The valedictorian gave a speech about overcoming adversity. I kept thinking about Sarah's adversity, about what Jake had done to her, about how close she came to becoming a statistic instead of a success story. Afterward, Sarah found us in the crowd. She looked radiant, confident. Nothing like the broken girl I'd met all those years ago. She was wearing a professional dress under her gown, already dressed for the future. Thank you for coming, she said. I know it's a long drive. We wouldn't have missed it. I want you to know something. For a long time, I blamed myself, thought I was weak, thought there was something wrong with me that made Jake treat me that way. There wasn't, my wife said. There was something wrong with him. I know that now. It took years of therapy and study, but I know that now. Sarah paused. That's why I'm going into psychology. To help other girls understand what I didn't. That the abuse says nothing about them. It only says something about the abuser. She smiled. I'm going to help people like me, girls who've been through what I've been through. Show them they can come out the other side. You already are, my wife said. Just by being here. Just by surviving. Sarah hugged us both. It was the first time I'd felt anything close to peace since this whole nightmare began. On the drive home, my wife took my hand. Maybe this is what redemption looks like, she said. Not undoing the damage, just building something new in its place. I squeezed her hand. Maybe. Update 2. 1 year after Jake's release. The call came at 3 a.m. Nothing good ever comes at 3 a.m. Mr. Ramsey, this is Dr. Patterson at Mercy General. Your son Jacob was admitted an hour ago. He's stable, but you should come. I didn't ask questions. Just threw on clothes and drove. Jake was in a room on the 3rd floor, tubes in his arms, monitors beeping. He looked small in the hospital bed, smaller than I remembered. What happened? Dr. Patterson checked his chart. Combination of sleeping pills and alcohol. His neighbor found him unresponsive and called 911. We pumped his stomach. He's going to be okay physically. We have him on a psychiatric hold. Standard procedure for these cases. A counselor will speak with him when he wakes up. I sat down in the chair next to his bed, watched the rise and fall of his chest. 3 years ago, I would have felt nothing, or maybe just anger. But now, looking at him, I felt something else, something like griefs. He woke up around 6 a.m., saw me sitting there, closed his eyes again. You shouldn't have come. They called me. You should have told them not to. Why? Jake didn't answer, just lay there with his eyes closed. What happened, Jake? I thought things were getting better. They were, for a while. Then what? He was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. I got a letter from Kennedy Warren. Kennedy, one of his victims, the one with photos of bruises. What did it say? She wanted me to know that she's never going to recover. Not fully. That she still has panic attacks. Still can't trust men. Still wakes up screaming. She said she thinks about me every day. Wonders how I'm doing. If I'm happy. If I've moved on. Jake's voice cracked. She said she hopes I never know peace. That she prays I suffer every day for the rest of my life, that death is too good for someone like me. Jake. She's right. Everything she said is right. I don't deserve peace. I don't deserve to move on. Every time something good happens to me, I think about her, about all of them, about what I took from them. And I realize I have no right to be happy. No right to build a life when I destroyed theirs. I leaned forward. So you decided to end it? I decided to stop pretending. Stop pretending that I could ever be a normal person. That I could ever deserve forgiveness. Did you think about what this would do to the people in your life? What people? I have a job, a therapist, a group meeting twice a week. That's not a life. That's a holding pattern. I'm just waiting to die anyway. I figured I'd speed up the process. I sat back, let his words settle. You saved Elena Suarez. One person. I hurt 5. You're attending meetings, getting help. Doesn't change what I did. No, it doesn't. But Jake, what you're describing, this idea that you don't deserve to exist, that's not justice. That's not what Kennedy or any of those girls need. How do you know what they need? I don't. But I know that you killing yourself doesn't unhurt them. It doesn't give them back what you took. All it does is give them one more thing to carry. Your death on their conscience, even if they wished for it. Jake opened his eyes, looked at me. You really believe that? I do. The hardest thing isn't dying, Jake. It's living with what you've done, facing it every day, doing the work to be different. That's the real punishment. And it's also the only way you might actually become someone worthy of the life you have. The counselor came later that morning. Jake was admitted to the psychiatric unit for observation. He was there for 2 weeks. During that time, I visited every other day. We didn't talk much. Sometimes we just sat together in silence. But I kept showing up, and eventually, so did he. The first few visits were the hardest. Jake would barely look at me, kept his eyes on the window, on the wall, on anything but my face. You don't have to come, he said once. I know you have better things to do. I don't. I tried to kill myself, Dad. Most parents would be angry. I'm not most parents, and I'm not angry. I'm scared. Scared of what? Of losing you. Despite everything, despite what you did, you're still my son, and I'd rather have you alive and struggling than dead and at peace. That seemed to break something in him. He started talking more after that, about prison, about the guilt, about the letters he'd gotten from his victims over the years. Some were angry, some were resigned. Kennedy's was the worst. She said she prays I suffer every day, Jake said. And the thing is, I do, every single day. I wake up and I think about what I did and I hate myself. I go to therapy and I talk about my feelings and I still hate myself. I go to meetings and I hear other guys share their stories and I hate myself for being one of them. That's not a healthy way to live. I don't know how else to live. The guilt is the only thing that feels real. His therapist at the facility was good. A guy named Dr. Nathaniel Ford, who'd worked with violent offenders for 30 years. He didn't sugarcoat anything. Your son committed serious crimes against multiple victims, Dr. Ford told me during one of our sessions. He caused lasting harm to real people. That's a fact he has to live with. But living with it doesn't mean being crushed by it. It means finding a way to carry the weight without letting it destroy him. How? By doing something useful. By adding good to the world. Not to cancel out the bad, that's impossible. But to give his life meaning beyond the harm he caused. When he was released, I drove him home. His apartment looked the same. Bare walls, minimal furniture. But he'd added something new. A plant on the windowsill. A small fern. Gift from someone in my group, he said. They told me if I can keep this thing alive for 6 months, I can keep myself alive too. Sounds like a good metric. Jake turned to face me. Dad, I need to say something. Okay. I've been carrying this guilt for years, thinking I didn't deserve help, didn't deserve support, that I should just suffer alone because that's what I earned. And now? Now I'm thinking maybe suffering alone is just another way of running away, of not doing the work. If I really want to be different, I have to be present. I have to engage, even when it hurts. That sounds like something your therapist would say. Jake almost smiled. It is, but I'm starting to believe it. I nodded. Good. Keep believing it. After that night, things shifted. Jake started reaching out more, not just to me, to his support group, to his therapist, to the few people in his life who were willing to give him a chance. He also started volunteering. At first, just small stuff. Picking up trash at the park, helping at a food bank. Nothing glamorous, but it kept him busy, kept him connected. Then he found something more substantial, a non-profit that worked with at-risk teens, boys who were showing early signs of violence, aggression, controlling behavior, the same warning signs Jake had shown years ago. They didn't hire him. His record made that impossible, but they let him speak at events, share his story, show these kids where that path leads. The non-profit was called Breaking Patterns, run by a woman named Dr. Vanessa Chen, who'd spent her career studying the trajectory of violent offenders. She was skeptical of Jake at first, interviewed him 3 times before agreeing to let him participate. I don't believe in redemption stories, she told me when I called to thank her for giving Jake a chance. I believe in accountability and consequences. Your son isn't redeemed. He never will be, but he can be useful. His story can prevent other boys from making the same choices. The first time he spoke publicly, I was in the audience. I watched my son stand in front of a room full of teenagers and tell them exactly what he'd done. The girls he'd hurt, the prison time, the suicide attempt, all of it. The room was dead silent. 30 kids between 14 and 18, all referred by schools or courts for behavioral issues, all looking at Jake like he was some kind of specimen. "I'm not here to tell you I'm a good person now," Jake said. I'm not sure I ever will be, but I'm here to tell you that the road I was on leads to a dead end. Literally. Either you end up in prison, or you end up dead, or both. And along the way you destroy everyone who gets close to you." He paused, looked around the room. "I know some of you think that's fine, that you don't care about other people. That's what I thought too. But here's what I learned. Not caring about others doesn't protect you. It just makes you hollow. And eventually that hollowness catches up with you." One kid in the back raised his hand. "How do you know we're like you? Maybe we're just in a bad mood. Maybe you are. I hope so. But I remember being your age. I remember thinking I was invincible, that the rules didn't apply to me, that people who got hurt deserved it somehow. If any of that sounds familiar, then yeah, you're like me. And I'm here to tell you where that leads." Afterward, a few of the kids came up to talk to him. Some were hostile, defensive, but a few actually listened, asked questions, wanted to know how he changed. "It took losing everything," Jake told them. "My family, my freedom, my future. I had to hit absolute bottom before I could start climbing back up. You don't have to wait that long. You can start now." My wife came to one of his talks about 6 months later. First time she'd seen Jake speak publicly. First time she'd seen him at all since the coffee shop. She didn't say anything during the talk, just sat there and listened, watched. Afterward, Jake approached us cautiously. "Mom, Jake." They stood there for an awkward moment. Then my wife spoke. "I'm not ready to forgive you." "I might never be ready." "I know, but I'm proud that you're doing this. Trying to stop other boys from becoming what you became. That matters. Thank you." She nodded once, then turned and walked out. I followed her to the car. "You okay?" "No. Yes. I don't know." She shook her head. "He looks different. Sounds different. Like someone else is living in his body. Maybe someone else is. Maybe. Or maybe it's just a better disguise. You think he's faking?" She thought about it. "No, I don't think so. But I also thought I knew him before, and I was wrong. So how can I trust my judgment now?" I didn't have an answer for that. Neither did she. Update 3. 4 years after Jake's release. The call came on a Sunday afternoon. Jake's name on my caller ID. Nothing unusual about that. We talked most weeks now. "Dad, I need to tell you something." "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. I don't know. Something good, I think. But I need to talk about it." An hour later, I was at his apartment. Still sparse, but warmer now. The fern had multiplied into 3 plants. There were a few photos on the wall. His group, his volunteer team. Nothing from his past, just his present. He'd also added some furniture. A small bookshelf filled with psychology texts and self-help books. A comfortable chair by the window. A desk where he worked on his talks for the nonprofit. Small things, but signs of someone building a life instead of just surviving. "So what's going on?" Jake sat down across from me. He looked nervous, the same way he used to look before a big game back in high school. Except now there was something softer underneath. Something vulnerable. "There's someone. A woman. I've been seeing her." My stomach dropped. "Jake? Wait, let me explain." He told me about Camille, a social worker he'd met through his volunteer work. She'd heard him speak at an event, one of the talks for at-risk teens. Reached out afterward with questions about his program. They'd been talking for months before anything romantic developed. At first it was just professional, Jake said. She was curious about the methodology, how we approached these kids, what seemed to work. We'd meet for coffee and discuss case studies, treatment options, intervention strategies. And then one day I realized I was looking forward to seeing her more than I looked forward to anything else in my life, that I thought about her all the time, that I was scared to admit what I was feeling because I knew I didn't deserve it. What happened? I told her. I sat her down and told her exactly how I felt, and then I told her why she should run away as fast as possible. My criminal record, my past, everything. How did she react? Jake almost smiled. She said she already knew. She'd looked me up before our second meeting, read every article, every court document she could find. She knew exactly who I was the whole time. And she still kept meeting with you? She said she wanted to see if the person in those documents matched the person she was talking to. She said they didn't match, that I was someone different, someone trying. She knows everything, Jake continued. My record, my past, the suicide attempt. I told her on our third conversation because I didn't want her to find out later and feel deceived. And she's still interested? She's cautious. We're taking things incredibly slow. She has her own therapist and they talk about me, about the relationship, about warning signs to watch for. That sounds healthy. It is. It's the healthiest relationship I've ever been in, which isn't saying much given my history, but still. I studied my son's face. He looked hopeful, vulnerable, terrified. What are you afraid of? Everything. That I'll slip, that I'll hurt her, that I'll become what I was. I've worked so hard to change, but that person is still in there. I can feel him sometimes. When I get angry, when things don't go my way, he's still there. So what do you do when you feel him? I stop, breathe, call my therapist or my sponsor from group. I remove myself from the situation. Do whatever I need to do to not act on it. Does Camille know about these moments? Yes, she's seen them. Once I got frustrated about something small, I can't even remember what, and she saw my face change, saw that flash. She froze, and I realized I'd scared her. What did you do? I apologized. Immediately. Told her what was happening in my head. We sat down and talked through it for an hour. She said she needed a few days to process. I gave her space. Didn't push. When she came back, she said she appreciated my honesty, but she was going to be paying very close attention. And you're okay with that? I need it. I need someone to be watching, to hold me accountable. I can't trust myself completely. Maybe I never will. But I can trust her to tell me if she sees something wrong. And I can trust myself to listen. I sat back, let all of this sink in. You know what this sounds like? What? It sounds like someone who's actually done the work. Someone who knows their weaknesses and has systems in place to manage them. Jake's eyes glistened. You think so? I can't promise anything, Jake. None of us can. But what you're describing, the awareness, the accountability, the willingness to be scrutinized, that's not the person you were. That person thought he was perfect, thought everyone else was the problem. This person knows better. I met Camille a month later. She was younger than I expected, early 30s. Warm smile, but watchful eyes. She knew who I was, what I'd done by turning Jake in. She respected me for it. Most parents protect their children no matter what, she said. You held him accountable. That's rare. It didn't feel brave at the time. It just felt necessary. Either way, it probably saved lives. Jake talks about it a lot. How losing your support was the thing that finally made him wake up. Do you think he's really changed? Camille considered the question carefully. I think change is a daily choice. Jake makes that choice every day. He's more self-aware than almost anyone I know, but he's also human. He can fail. Anyone can. And you're willing to take that risk? I'm a social worker. I've seen what happens when people write others off completely. Sometimes people really do change. Not always, but sometimes. Jake has done the work. He's doing the work. I'm willing to give him a chance to prove himself, with boundaries, with vigilance, but with hope too. A year later, they got engaged. Jake called to tell us, asked if we would come to the wedding. My wife and I talked about it for days. She was still struggling, still carrying the weight of what Jake had done. I'm not sure I can celebrate him, she said. Even if he's different now, I understand. But I also don't want to miss this moment. If he really has changed, this might be the proof. A woman who knows everything about him choosing to spend her life with him anyway. So what do you want to do? She was quiet for a long time. I want to go. Not for Jake, for Camille. She deserves to see that his family showed up, that he's not alone. The wedding was small. 30 people, mostly from Jake's volunteer circles and Camille's family. My wife and I sat in the back. Didn't speak during the ceremony. Just watched. Jake cried when he read his vows. Talked about not deserving happiness but working every day to earn it. Talked about the people he'd hurt and the work he still had to do. Talked about Camille being his accountability partner, his best friend, his reason to keep going. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was messier than that, but it was real. Afterward, Camille came over to us. Thank you for coming. I know this wasn't easy. It wasn't, my wife admitted. But we're here. That means more than you know. Jake approached us last. He looked different in a suit. Older, more settled. Mom, Dad, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I want to. I want you to know that I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of this second chance. Not just with Camille, with everyone, including you. My wife surprised me then. She stepped forward and hugged him. Just for a moment. Just long enough. Be good to her, she said. Be good to yourself. I will. I promise. We left after the reception. Drove home in comfortable silence. What are you thinking? I finally asked. I'm thinking that this isn't how I expected our story to end. How did you expect it to end? With Jake in prison forever? Or dead? Or both of us never speaking to him again? Not with us at his wedding, watching him marry a woman who actually seems to love him. Does it feel wrong? She shook her head. It feels strange. Like the world shifted and I didn't notice until now. 2 years later, they had a baby. A girl. They named her Hope. Jake called to tell us. His voice cracked on the phone. I never thought I'd be a father. Never thought I deserved it. But Camille believes in me, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure Hope never sees the person I used to be. We visited when Hope was 3 months old. Tiny thing. Looked just like Camille. Jake held her like she was made of glass. Every movement careful, deliberate, like he was constantly aware of how much damage he could do if he wasn't paying attention. "She's beautiful," my wife said. "She's perfect," Jake agreed. "And terrifying." "Terrifying?" "Every time I look at her, I think about what I could become, what I was, and I promise myself I'll never let that person anywhere near her." "You won't," I said. "Not if you keep doing what you're doing." "I will, every day, for the rest of my life." We stayed for dinner, watched Jake and Camille navigate parenthood. They were a team, real partners. On the drive home, my wife was quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet. "I think he's going to be okay," she finally said. "I think so too. It doesn't erase what he did. No, nothing can. But maybe he can add enough good to balance it out. Tip the scales, just a little. Maybe." She took my hand. "Thank you for not giving up on him, even when I wanted to." "I almost did. Many times. But you didn't. And now look." I looked out the window, watched the houses pass by. Ordinary houses full of ordinary people living ordinary lives.